Well, that's not okay, you guys. Here we go. I hope you make it back. Um, but I went live again. I found you, but it's finicky tonight. Probably YouTube. Okay. Hi, Linda. Whew. I wonder what's going on. Ah, that's interesting. Let me make sure that let me pause my backup, pause Backblaze so that's not doing that while I'm trying to do and make sure that got Speedify connected. Give it a little oomph here if it wants. There we go. All right. Interesting. Hey. Okay. Yesterday, All Things Meta had a meltdown. I um I think I heard some people talking about some of that stuff. Well, fiddle. I'm sorry. Ah, that's a bummer. Um and it's funny because the video that I had for the beginning didn't do the whole thing either. Oh well. Oh well. They did, it was in the news. I didn't listen to the news. I've been on Zoom today only, but this morning we headed to Second Use so that Bob could get a cabinet, an inexpensive cabinet for storing stuff in the garage, which was fun. And that, so yes, I know Facebook's Meta, among other things. That's the one of those things. Anyway, yay, Tamara made it. Oh my gosh. Let's see if I can find the link to this. I wonder if I can find the link to where I am right now. Go to my oh, I know what I need to do. Hang on, you guys. Let me try to do this in studio. Find the link. And live. Dashboard content. Right now. Huh. It's not showing up. Visibility. Right now. Dashboard. Oh well. Oh well. I was going to try to get the link if it was there to this one. And oh, I wonder if they can give me nope. Recording. I know there's someplace that has the link, but I don't know where it is in here. Oh well. Oh well. Let's see. Dun-da-da. And that went for 7 seconds and then it started to loop. And now we're on here and here. No, Tamara, it's yours. There we go. Okay. Here is the link. Share. Copy the link. Now, okay, and then I want to, oh, how can I get it over there? Hang on, you guys. Just give me half a second. I was just going to try to, well, fiddle. Oh, well. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I'm going to read. Mine's just So, tonight, I have a couple of stories. Dog on technology. Where's the troublemaker when you need him? I know. I know. Where is Roy? If you, Linda, I don't know if you know, that won't help. That won't help. I know what I need to do. Here, this is what I need to do. Go to a post and, okay, select more photos. Okay. Here we go. Done. And hey, come on, paste. Had some startup issues. Here is link to the live. Okay. There we go. Post that. I'll post that in the community part. Maybe somebody will get it. Hi, Linda. Hi, Tamara. Thanks, you guys, for coming on over. We have story. And, oh, I did not see Roy on Lala's. I did not know about that. I wish I would have done that. That would be hilarious. He's so funny. He's such a good guy. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the stories that I have. I have 2 tonight. I have Angela's Glacier, and I have a Christmas story. So I think I'm going to start with Angela's Glacier because it has a word that I have to remember how to pronounce. That's Icelandic, I believe. And so I have it memorized for a short amount of time on the correct pronunciation. So I'm going to read it. It's a book by Jordan Scott and illustrated by Diana Sudika. And the illustrations are gorgeous. They're so, they're just, fluid artists, you guys are going to love this. But the color palette, the whole thing about it is really, really, really nice. I don't know if Skippy John has a Christmas story. I'll have to go look. I will go back and watch Lala and Roy. It will be fun. So I'm going to read, though, right now. I'm going to read this. It's called Angela's Glacier. And I just thought it was really a beautiful story about, the opening was this, but it was family stories. And in family stories, you have to listen. And that's a little bit what this one has to do with come on, turn the page. There we go. On Angela's Glacier. And it had even pronunciation there on the one on how I'm supposed to pronounce that long Icelandic word. Because snæ means snow, and fells means mountain, and jökull means glacier. So this is Angela's Glacier. For weeks before Angela arrived, her glacier was covered in clouds. And then Angela came into the world, and the glacier bloomed under the milky Arctic sunlight. Angela's father held her in his arms, wrapped in a blanket, and he took her outside into the cold air. Turning Angela to see the glacier in the distance, her father said, "The glacier came out just for you." Angela's father felt her heart beat faster in the winter air. "I will take you there," he said. And they both listened to the whispers of ancient ice fill Angela's birthday morning. This is one of my favorite illustrations in the whole book. Before Angela learned to walk, her father carried her on his back, through lava fields covered with silver mosses, past chocolate brown Arctic foxes, and atop raven's glass cranberry and pixie lichen. They walked through snowfields, thick like pancakes, to the glacier's ice blue heart. Angela listened to the glacier. Her father held her still in this universe of sound. Day after day, month after month, Angela's father carried her to this place. As her father hiked, with every step he took, he taught Angela how to speak the glacier's name. Snæfellsjökull. 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 Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. As Angela grew, she started walking up to the glacier by herself. And day after day, month after month, year after year, Angela went to her glacier to feel and listen. She listened to the temperature. She listened to the colors. She listened to wind and water play together in the snow. Angela took her hands out of her mittens and touched the cold ice, keeping her fingers there for as long as she could. She rubbed her hands up and down the bumps and cracks of the glacier's skin and pressed her ear to the ice and listened. Angela let the glacier listen to her too. She'd whisper about what scared her, like owls and falling off her bike. She'd whisper about how much she missed her dad when he left each day for work. Angela grew up with Snæfellsjökull, but as she grew older, life got really busy. Angela walked away from her glacier. She spent her days like this: school, friends, violin, soccer, bike rides, homework. Time just melted away. Every night, Angela put her hand over her heart and listened carefully. She didn't know why it sounded strange. So she asked her father, "Have you visited Snæfellsjökull?" her father asked. Angela had not. Not for a long, long time. So she packed her bag with a bottle of water and an extra sweater and some snacks, and up she went to that ancient blue. Snæfellsjökull, 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 Snæfellsjökull. She wondered if Snæfellsjökull could hear her. Could the glacier? But instead of walking away, Angela got really close to that coldest of cold and whispered her promise into that old ice. I will always visit. I will always listen. That night, Angela lay in bed and put her hand over her heart. This is the sound of Angela's heart. Snæfellsjökull, Snæfellsjökull, Snæfellsjökull. I love that back. Such a beautiful, and the picture in the back. It says here that the book was inspired by her friend Angela Rawlings. Angela grew up in Northern Ontario and emigrated to Iceland in 2011. I first really got to know Angela under a pine tree in a forest 3 hours north of Toronto. She was leaning against the trunk, eyes closed, sound recorder in hand, listening for black-capped chickadees. I felt bad for interrupting, but Angela graciously invited me under the tree and taught me how to listen. Before this moment, I never thought about staying still and listening to everything more than human around me. By listening, my listening was always brief and intermittent. Under that pine tree, Angela taught me to be still and listen with my whole body. And Angela says, a note from Angela, a glacier's music takes practice to hear. It's gentle, so familiar, almost as though it comes from inside yourself. Listening for the glacier's music invites you to listen to your whole body. You listen to the many forms the water and wind take as they play together. Oh my goodness. So beautiful. So beautiful. There. Looks like a, oh, like then, it's like pronouncing IKEA names a lot. Yes. Oh, I know the collage-like aspect of that book and just the swirl, the colors. I just thought it was really a really pretty book. I'm thinking you guys are still there. Yay, you are. So now the next book um, is completely different. I think maybe last year or the year before, I read a book called Aunty Claus. It's a fun Christmas book. But I found that Aunty Claus has a new book out that I had not read. And it's called Aunty Claus and the Key to Christmas. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Aunty Claus, you never think about that Santa might have a sister. And that's who Aunty Claus is for this book. So let's see. Well, Linda's here. Tamara's made it. You guys have made it. I'm sorry. I hope other people find their way. But, it'll be unrecorded. And I may have to put in a new thumbnail to direct people there. We'll see. That happens. It's what the risks of going live. We've had a lot of kind of crazy ups and downs with this. And so, but doesn't mean I can't still read a story. And that's what I'm going to do right now. This is Aunty Claus. Photographer woman from Sweden. You did well. Oh, yes, it's Icelandic. Well, my Norwegian heritage has a little bit of it. It's also very, very good when they give me a pronunciation. I did take a couple quarters maybe of Norwegian, maybe a year. I don't know. I never got it down. Never was good with languages like my mom. My mom could get them really easily, but not me. Okay. Aunty Claus and the Key to Christmas by Elise Primavera. Aunty Claus, New York, North Pole. Darling. Hello. Okay. I am hoping that said to click to resume and that it resumed. To click to resume and that it resumed. Yay, I see us. Yes. Good. To click to resume and that it resumed. There we go. I see us. All right. There's a Christmas story I love, which is Nordic. The character is a boy and a sister named Otta. His parents and Otta die and he's raised up and becomes Santa. Oh, fun. Okay, I'm back. I had it glitched out again. It said it quit because of a problem, but Ecamm held it in there and resumed it, so that's nice. It didn't happen the first time around. Darlings, the story you are about to be told is absolutely true. It happened one Christmas when my nephew, Christopher, began to have doubts. Shall we say, the entire family was in a frightful uproar and very cross. Well, we couldn't have that. Heavens, no! So it was up to me to intervene. Now, hang up your stockings, darlings, and turn this page, for here is where you will find my key to Christmas. Young Christopher Kringle lived at the Bing Cherry Hotel in New York City with his parents, the Kringles, and his sister, Sophie. Chris loved going to the Jingle Bell Bell Company where his father was the president. He spent many happy hours at the Mistletoe to Nail Salon, which his mother owned. But most of all, Chris loved listening to his great aunt, Aunty Claus, tell stories about the Kringle family, the North Pole, and Santa. Dear boy, she would always say, when things seem dark and dreary, if times turn sour and bitter, think like a Kringle. You'll soon find your way to all that sparkles and glitters. But Chris wasn't so sure. Not anymore. For he had begun to wonder about his great aunt. In fact, Chris had begun to wonder about his entire family. Then one day he overheard a pair of out-of-towners, the Spam twins, who were staying at the Bing while on tour promoting their book, We're Geniuses and You're Not. Chris soon learned that Ozzy and Pam were commonly known as the Smarty Pants Spams and had become international sensations. So how could he ignore something they'd said? Hey, Pam, Ozzy sniggered. It's a week after Halloween and that lady in the Christmas outfit is still in costume, snickered Pam. You'd think she was Santa Claus's sister, Ozzy snorted. Only babies believe in Santa Claus, they chortled. And so it was that exactly 1 week after Halloween, Chris repeated what he had heard. And the entire Kringle family was thrown into a tumultuous uproar. Mrs. Kringle screamed and dropped a full bottle of mistletoe toenail polish on the carpet. Oh! Mr. Kringle, who was in the process of stringing jingle bells, lost his balance and careened right into the middle of his. And you call yourself a Kringle? Shame on you, said Chris's older sister, Sophie. Hey, Shauna. Shauna, I had glitches going on, so you're right on time. To no one's surprise, Chris was immediately summoned to Aunty Claus's suite at the Bing, to penthouse 25C for tea. It has come to my attention, Aunty Claus began, that there is a nasty rumor going around that some children are saying, well, it's unspeakable, preposterous. It's completely unacceptable. Marmalade cake, darling? Chris squirmed in his seat. I have never known a Kringle to repeat such things. Aunty Claus paused to stir her tea. It is time you learned a little family secret. But first, there is something you should know about children who start such rumors. The room suddenly became very quiet. Dark clouds began piling up outside. The truth of the matter is that these children eventually become rather unattractive grown-ups. Try some lovely cookies, darling. Unattractive? Chris asked. Well, yes, said Aunty Claus. These children become grown-ups who enjoy seeing a birthday cake slip off the edge of a table and go splat onto the floor. To them, having it rain on the day of a parade is what eating a chocolate eclair is to you. And they have formed a club, A club? Said Chris. Yes, darling, a club, said Auntie Claus. It's called the Parade Rainers United National Elite Society, or Prunes for short. Heavens, Auntie Claus continued, that you of all people would say such a thing. Why, I should think it would rather hurt Santa's feelings. Do you know Santa? Chris asked. Why, of course I know him. The very idea, Auntie Claus said. Sophie rolled her eyes. Chris is going to be on the B, and G list again. B, and G list? Said Chris. Auntie Claus sighed. B, and G, darling, is short for bad boys and girls. Anyone on Santa's B, and G list goes without presents for Christmas. So unfortunate. But Chris was not convinced. I'll believe it when I see it, he said. That's my motto. Dear boy, don't you know that all the best things are invisible? Auntie Claus said. Sometimes you have to believe in order to see. That is my motto. That is the key. At midnight, Auntie Claus left for her annual business trip. And at midnight, Chris was wide awake. Is there really a B, and G list? He thought. I get presents every year, and to be honest, I'm not all that good. There was only one way to find out, Chris said. Chris had made up his mind. If there's really a B, and G list, my name is going to be on it, he said. And maybe then I'll get to the bottom of this family secret once and for all. The very next day, Chris eliminated please and thank you from his vocabulary. He made rude noises and ate with his mouth open. He whined whenever it looked like someone had something better than he did, and regularly squashed his vegetables in his dinner napkin. For good measure, he started cheating at board games and screaming if he didn't get his own way. By Christmas Eve, Chris was pretty sure he had covered everything, but he still had his doubts. There's no such thing as a B, and G list, he said. There is too, said Sophie. I'll believe it when I see it, Chris said. What if I told you that I got your name off that list last year because I'm such a nice sister? Sophie said. You are not, said Chris. Am too, said Sophie. And that's not all. Auntie Claus is Santa Claus's older sister. She is not, insisted Chris. Is, shouted Sophie. Prove it, demanded Chris. I will, said Sophie, but you'll have to go on a little trip. Fine, said Chris. Sophie grabbed her brother's hand and led him up to Auntie Claus's penthouse. Shh, Sophie said as they tiptoed through the dimly lit apartment to Auntie Claus's private elevator. From inside her jumper, she removed a red ribbon necklace, at the end of which was a diamond key. Look, she whispered. The key glittered in her hand. If you don't believe me, Sophie said, inserting the key into the lock on the elevator, then ask Mr. Pudding. The elevator door slid open. I will, said Chris, stepping inside. Who's Mr. Pudding? The door began to close. Say that you're the new elf. Don't forget, Sophie said. And suddenly the key sparkled and flashed, and illuminating the darkness, and flew from her hand into Chris's just before the door shut. What? Said Chris. The doors closed, and the elevator began to move. Wait, Chris screamed. Remember, you're the new elf. Sophie's voice was fading, and as the elevator rose higher and higher. I'm the new elf, Chris said, as the elevator began to pick up speed. I'm the new elf. I'm the new elf, he repeated through chattering teeth. The night was getting colder and colder, and Chris looked around the elevator and was relieved to see a warm jacket, a hat, a pair of mittens, socks, boots, and trousers, all neatly folded in one corner. He quickly put them on and placed the key around his neck. The elevator continued its trip through the starry night. Thunk! The elevator landed, and Chris stepped out. I'm the new elf, he said loud and clear. Hello, Mr. Pudding here, head elf in charge of vital rules and information. Good, said Chris. You're just the person I was told to see. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Who did you say you were? The new elf? No, you're not. Mr. Pudding looked closely at Chris. You are Christopher Kringle. Oh dear, oh dear. He pulled out a little red and green book and started to read. At 10:12 a.m., that's Eastern Standard Time, on November 8th through the 14th, Christopher Kringle made rude noises, and on those days he did not say please or thank you. Oh dear, let me see. Vegetable squashing, eating with his mouth open. Oh, we've got quite a bit of insisting on his own way. Oh dear, December 20th, cheating at Candyland. Mr. Pudding escorted Chris out of the gates. Sorry, but it's the rule. Part of arrival procedures. No BB&Gs, meaning no spoiled brats, no crybabies, and absolutely positively no one who doesn't believe, he whispered. Mr. Pudding closed the gate. But, Chris wailed. I was just trying to get on the BB&G list on purpose. Oh dear, said Mr. Pudding, and no whiners either. He locked the gates. Mr. Pudding, Chris called. You don't understand. It's not my fault. It's Ozzy and Pam's. Ozzy and Pam? Some voices said. Chris was startled to see a company of snowboys. You know them? He said. Oh, the Spam twins are members of a very good standing, they all replied. Members? Asked Chris. They're international sensations, they added. Can you help me? Chris asked. I've been locked out of Christmas. Locked out of Christmas? Come with us. We're on our way to see the High Head. He'll like you. Yeah, but will I like him? Chris thought. Because these snowboys are already starting to get on my nerves. Oh dear. Down, down, down they marched. It began to drizzle as the snowboys sang. We're spoiled brats, we like to whine, we're prickly as a porcupine. We don't believe in you-know-who or in reindeer that can fly. If we don't get our own way, we'll scream, we'll bite, we'll cry. Yes, we're on the list every year until we're 21. But we don't care, 'cause being bad is just too darn much fun. And when we're all grown up, we'll have one great big goal, to turn your sparkly diamonds into little lumps of coal. In short, we love to burst balloons. Our heroes, Ebenezer Scrooge. And why is that? Because we're prunes? Chris whispered. Welcome, said the high head. There was a flash of lightning. These aren't snowboys, Chris thought. They're prune boys. Now he could see that not only was the BB&G list real, but his name was the first one on it. There was a clap of thunder, and it began to rain. Oh, lovely, said the high head in a booming voice. What can I do for you, my boy? You see, it all started with Ozzy and Pam, Chris started to explain. He was beginning to think that maybe those smarty pants spams didn't know so much after all. Ozzy and Pam spam, said the head prune. Fine children, cream of the crop. Cream of the crop, your royal pruneship, said the prune boys. As I was saying, I was locked out of Christmas, Chris continued. Locked out of Christmas? I'm not sure that even the Spam twins could manage that, said the head prune. They wouldn't even try, old pruniest one, said the prune boys. You're a fine example of BB&G. State your name, and like the Spams, you can be a lifetime member. Guaranteed. Member? I want to go home, Chris thought. He was even beginning to miss Sophie. I'm Christopher Kringle, Chris said. As in Santa Claus? Said the prune. Yes, replied Chris. The prune boys started to giggle. We don't believe in Santa Claus, they snickered. I'm Christopher Kringle, Chris said louder this time, and I do. Phooey! We don't believe in you, jeered the head prune. And just at that moment, Sophie's key sparkled and flashed in the dreary prune light, and it reminded Chris of something. Something he had heard many times but had forgotten. If times turn sour and bitter, think like a Kringle. You'll soon find your way to all that sprinkles and glitters. I'm not a prune. I am a Kringle, said Chris, and I'm absolutely positive there is a Santa Claus. A hush fell over the prune headquarters. And I don't believe in you, Chris shouted. Something extraordinary was happening. Were the prunes beginning to shrink? Chris couldn't quite believe his eyes. Now look what you've done, wailed the head prune. Christopher Kringle, Chris shouted again as loudly as he could. And the head prune and his prune boys were shriveling up fast now. Shriveling up like prunes. Then some really strong magic happened. Just as in Aunty Claus's poem, the sour prunes coal that had been collecting in the prune hall for ever so long was changing from dark and bitter lumps into diamonds that sparkled and glittered. Chris found himself whirling around and around through the air at a dizzying speed in a blur of prune purple into bright Christmas green. He closed his eyes. When Chris opened his eyes, he saw he was standing once again outside the gates. A clock struck midnight, and the gates opened, and Santa Claus circled above and landed. Ho, ho, ho! Welcome to Christmas, Santa said. Merry Christmas, Santa, Chris shouted. And then from behind the sleigh out stepped Aunty Claus, Chris exclaimed. My one and only big sister, said Santa. Couldn't get through a Christmas without her. Right, lads? Hooray for Aunty Claus, everyone cheered. And turning to Chris, Aunty Claus winked and said, I knew you had it in you, darling. They climbed into the sleigh and headed for the grand ballroom. But there was only one thing Chris wondered about. Santa, he said, did you happen to get any letters from a couple of twins? Before Santa even heard him, Aunty Claus handed Chris 2 letters. Not surprisingly, they were nearly identical. Just as Chris finished reading them, they said, Dear Santa, I have been a very good boy, and I think you should bring me lots of presents and don't bring any for my sister because she doesn't really think you're real, your friend Ozzy. Just as Chris finished reading them, a gust of wind blew the letters out of his hand, and he watched as they vanished into the dark, snowy sky. The sleigh entered the grand ballroom, and there were Chris's parents and his sister Sophie. "Merry Christmas, everyone!" Chris called to his family. "So do you believe me now?" Sophie asked her little brother. Chris took Sophie's diamond key and placed it back around her neck. "Like I always say, think like a Kringle," Chris said. His cheeks were red and his eyes sparkled. "He's so much like his uncle," his parents said proudly. "A real chip off the old block," said Aunty Claus. "But shouldn't Chris get a key too?" Sophie asked. And Chris smiled mysteriously and replied, "I did get the key." "Dear boy," Aunty Claus patted his head. "There's no doubts about it, darling," she whispered in his ear. And from that day on, there never was, believe it or not. There was no doubt about it, and there never was, believe it or not. So, as you can see, everything turned out just fine. Recently, I asked Christopher, "Do you remember the year that you learned about our little family secret?" He chuckled and said, "Yes, I do, but that was the year I received the best Christmas gift ever. To believe is the key to Christmas." "Yes, the key, darlings, to the one that aren't Yes, the key, darlings, the ones that aren't seen. But then all the best things are invisible. Love and Merry Kringle, Aunty Claus." Oh my goodness. And that's of Aunty Claus and the Key to Christmas by, let's see, it is by, again, Elise Primavera. And she did the illustrations too. That's the second book in that series, if I remember right. Did somebody say James was here? Mr. Hicks? Well, hi, Mr. Hicks. I'm glad you're here. You've been a busy lad lately. I've seen you back and forth on different things. We had several technical issues, but you guys, I'm so glad those of you who made it and got through. It glitched out once 7 seconds into the start of the show. Had to start on a brand new stream, got going there, and then it glitched out in the middle, but Ecamm managed to resume on that one, which was cheerful and wonderful. But yes, so yay. Well, those are the two stories. I'm not going to push anymore tonight because I think I've maxed something out. I don't know what, but it's could be. Who knows? Just it's that time. But cheers, everyone. I hope you are having a happy holiday time start. So yes, that was one of my first Christmas books to read. I will look, Linda, for a Skippy John Christmas book. I don't think there is one, other than maybe a board book that he did. But Skippy John, and I will have one night where I will read The Year of the Perfect Christmas Tree, my very favorite. And that will be fun. Oh, did you find a link to Aunty Claus? I'd like to see the pictures. Didn't you see the pictures? Okay. So Sunday we'll be back. I will be back. We're going to be back before the show. There might not be a post link earlier in the day unless I get it done while I'm in the car. We are going to Eastern Washington for a birthday party for Saturday night for Susanna Michael's house. The snow forecast, we were going to go on Friday, but the forecast for snow tomorrow over the passes is worse than it is on Saturday. So we're going to travel Saturday, make it over for the party, stay at my sister's, and then head back early Sunday morning. It's snowing at my sister's right now, but that's expected in Eastern Washington. That's kind of used to. It's just going over the pass that will be, but we'll be fine. But we'll make it back in plenty of time for the show on Sunday. So artwork, I've been doing a little bit of stuff playing. So I'll have something for you guys to see. I know Linda sent in a picture of a wreath I get to put up. Tamara, I know, will have something. James and Shana, it is on Sunday. It is our show and tell. So if you're working on anything creative like music or art or whatever, if you send it to me on my email, and then I bring it into the show for show and tell, and it'll be fun. That's how we start the show off. Oh, okay. We didn't see any of the book? Hold it. You didn't see any of the book? No. Tell me that's not true. Really? Okay, hang on. Hang on. What happened here? Oh, fiddle-dee-dee, fiddle-dee-dee. Okay, let me see if I can do something about this. Aunty Claus, manage loan. Okay. All right, so we are going to go back here since you did not see pictures for just a second. There. Okay. I cannot believe you didn't see the pictures. Well, you saw the book? You okay? Shauna didn't see any. I did. Okay, cool. Tamara saw it. The illustrations are just really vibrant, she does with them, and has that snowflake aspect on the back of them all the time. Anyway, those were the snow boys. Freaky snow boys. Oh, okay. Those were the head, the high head. That's the high head, the big prune guy. The BB&G's Christopher Kringle's name's on it. Oswald Spam. Oh, geez. Anyway, that's Aunty Kringle. I'll have to. Yeah, the illustrations she did this book. I must say, part of the story itself is not what I could say doesn't flow the easiest to read aloud. And the illustrations are amazing. In terms of a story, I think that there could have been a little better editing and flow. The story is great, but there's just a couple. That's just from long years librarian. The parts where it glitches out like that for you to read, it makes it hard sometimes. It's a great story, but I think if I rate my books 1 to 10 that I read, this one's about a 7, I would say. Skippy being a 10, you know. So Skippy's like, yeah, I'm a 10. Anyway, but the illustrations are fabulous and the colors. I think part of it, what it is that it's also the way the phrasing is done in some of this book, that if you don't get the phrasing just right, you don't always get the meaning across on it. You just visualized it. Shauna, you're so talented. Shauna is a very talented crafter, and she can do all those kind of things. No, we had 2 screens of your face. Oh my gosh. Seriously? No, that's not fun. Oh, I know what I did. Oh, well. Okie doke. That's frightening that you get 2 screens of me. So, we check this off as that those lives that happen, that just happen, even though you think you have it all together. And I'm not even going to try to play back the video that I started it with because it still is not playing all the way through. But we're just going to go to the end, you guys, and we're going to have a great evening. And I hope you got your buckets filled a little bit. I'm glad we were just able to come back on. Lupe, if you're out there looking up in the ether, those of you guys who joined this afterwards, thanks so much. Sorry about the missing of the pictures and having to see 2 of my faces. That's frightening. That's just frightening. Oh, well, and it's not even a Halloween story. Huh. All right, you guys, that's it for tonight. So everybody take care. And until next time, keep looking for the beauty hidden in plain sight. It's all around you. But the first place you'll find it is when you go look in your own mirror. And I will see you on Sunday.
In the heat of the night, we could get lost in all the lights and sounds. Feel alright, we won't go home, we will just stay here downtown. There's not just stars on the boulevard, they're in the light in your eyes. Oh, we don't need no black cards, I just need you by my side. We could be shameless, famous, running cool, with a love that leaves us weightless. Ooh, drop dead gorgeous, wow. Ooh, you got me feeling starstruck too. We could be famous, we could be famous. You blow my mind, looking like a model, better than the usual. Yeah, you don't even try, not average or typical. I put you on. There's not just stars on the boulevard, they're in the light in your eyes. Oh, we don't need no black cards, I just need you by my side. We could be shameless, famous, running cool, with a love that leaves us weightless. Ooh, drop dead gorgeous, wow. Ooh, you got me feeling starstruck too. We could be famous, we could be famous, we could be famous, we could be famous.
Thank you guys for staying.
We could be shameless, famous, running cool, with a love that leaves us weightless. Ooh,
Thanks, Linda. It's wonderful.
gorgeous, wow. Ooh, you got me feeling starstruck.
That's me, Grandma Goo.
We could be famous,
Thank you, Goo, she says.
famous. We could be famous, we could be famous.
Night, everybody.